We were right in the middle of number 13 on page 9 of your 4.6 notes, so we're not going to do 15. That is way above our pay grade, and it's something we learn tomorrow, so there's no need to learn it today, but we are going to do 13, 14, and 16. So we said the repeated quantity was m plus 2, so we called that our u, and we boxed it because remember we will be coming back to it. So every time we saw m plus 2, we replaced it with u, so 5u squared minus 14u minus 3. And then we were getting ready to do AC method because there's nothing common here, can't get rid of that 5, so that means use AC. So factors of 15 that subtract to 14. Wrote that over here. So 1 and 15, boom, got it on the first try. What's 15 minus 1? 14. So now we just need to fix the signs. So this says the signs will be different. And this says the larger number of the two needs to be negative. So 15's larger, make it negative. And that says they're different, so make the other one positive. And now we're ready to replace negative 14u with these two values. And remember what I said, if you can put the negative first, that saves you from having a negative GCF later. So 5u squared minus 15, grab that u, plus 1, grab that variable u, and then minus 3. So just like the problems we've done earlier, now we're ready to do grouping once we turn it into 4 terms. So GCF here would be 5u, and GCF here would be 5u. Because 5u is common to both, we take the smallest exponent and the largest number, so we pull 5u out, and that leaves us with 1u to the first minus the u's cancel, so that would just be 3. And then I look here and go, oh, there's nothing common here, so that means it's 1 that's common. So we'd write plus 1, divide each of these by 1, and we get u minus 3. And then we get excited because look at our parentheses match. That means we're doing it correctly. So let's go ahead and bring it up here because this one we're not going to be done on the next step like the others because we have that box there. Maybe it'd even be a good idea to highlight it, reminding us, hey, don't forget to put the m's back in when you're done working it. So we have u minus 3 as our common binomial, so pull it out in front. Take it out of there, and then the second parentheses will be what's left, which is 5u plus 1. So on our last set of exercises, we boxed that and stopped. But this is telling us, don't stop. You have to put m back in because this problem doesn't have any u's. You can't give an answer with u's when this problem has m's. So we need to go back, and everywhere we see a u, plug in m plus 2, m plus 2. And remember, when it's a quantity, it does need to be in parentheses. So that would be, well, here there's no number in front, but we can go ahead. They did it on the example. So m plus 2 minus 3. And then the second one would be 5 parentheses m plus 2 plus 1. So that leaves us with this one. The parentheses aren't needed, so we can just drop them. M plus 2 minus 3. And this one we do have to distribute because there's a number in front, unlike this one. So we get 5m plus 10 plus 1. So that leaves us with m minus 1 when we combine like terms here. And the second parenthesis is going to be 5m plus 11 when we combine like terms right here. And that will be our answer. This is the only one of the factoring group that would be pretty difficult to check. So you'll just want to work through it carefully and try not to make any mistakes, because in order to check it, you would have to FOIL this, multiply by 5, distribute this, and then compare it to this one being FOILed. So quite a bit of work to check that one. So like I said, I would just try your best to not make any mistakes. This is on this test, it's on the next test, and it's on the final exam, because you use U substitution all over the place in calculus. So we work on it hard in this class, we work on it hard in 150, and then they hope that you're experts by the time you get to calculus. So the last one is not really like this, so I think this would be the time I would shut off the video and try this one on your own. It's almost identical to the one we just did, and like I said, the last one is a different kind of problem, so can't really practice on it. So go ahead and shut off the video and try 14 on your own. Okay, so I see my repeated quantity is 3x minus 2, so that's going to be my u. U equals 3x minus 2. I'm going to put a box around it. I'm even going to highlight it so I don't forget. And we can use the space down here too, since we're not going to do that problem, so we can spread this out. So that means everywhere I see 3x minus 2, replace it with u. So this would be 8u squared. Let's just put the u there just so we know. Plus 6u plus 1. So 8u squared plus 6u plus 1. And I think we did this one earlier. I remember this one. No GCF. So we're ready for AC. So we're looking for factors of 8 that add to 6 when we read the problem backwards. So they multiply to give me 8, and they add to 6. 8 times 1's 8. Reading backwards, add to 6. And we said earlier that was 2 and 4. So now we're going to take out plus 6u and we're going to replace it. All positive signs. Replace it with 2u and 4u, because 2u plus 4u is 6u. So we have 8u squared plus 2u plus 4u plus 1. And remember what we said earlier, if you wrote 4u plus 2u and I wrote 2u plus 4u, doesn't matter. We'll get the same answer, because 2 plus 4 is 6 and 4 plus 2 is 6. So as long as they both give me 6, we're good. So now what are we going to do? Four terms tell you to use grouping. So here the GCF would be 2 and then u to the first. So let's divide both of these by 2u. And I'm just going to go down here. So 2u's are GCF. And when we divide, we get 4, 2 minus 1, u to the first. Plus, anything divided by itself is always 1. Don't leave it blank. Don't write 0. Then we bring down the plus sign. GCF here would just be 1, right? Because nothing's common to 1 and 4 besides 1. And when I divide anything by 1, I just get the same thing back. And then I do my happy dance because my parentheses match, and if they didn't, I would have had to go back and look for my error, because these have to match. If they don't match, that means you made a mistake. So my next GCF is that binomial 4u plus 1. Take it out, and what's left would be 2u plus 1. So on all the other problems we've done today, we've stopped here. But My problem has x's in it. This problem has u's. I cannot stop. And that's why we have that box highlighted begging us to come back to it. So now we're going to take out the u's and in its place put what it's equal to. 3x minus 2. And remember, it's a quantity, so it does need to be in parentheses. So take the u out and plug back in what we took out in the first place, which was 3x minus 2. So that gives us 4 parentheses 3x minus 2.
Miss Norris?
Okay, so we're going to take the u out and put 3x minus 2, and then plus 1. And that's the first parenthesis. The second parenthesis is going to be 2, parenthesis 3x minus 2, and then plus 1. So that turns into 12x minus 8 plus 1. So 12x minus 8 plus 1. And this turns into 6x minus 4 plus 1. So then my final answer is 12x. Negative 8 plus 1 is minus 7. And this will be 6x. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. And there we have it. And x here, x in the original problem, good to go. So one of those is on your test. So let's go ahead and highlight 13. Actually, let's highlight 13, 14, 16, because there's one like 13 and 14, and then there's one like 16. So all three of them that we didn't cross out on this page are on your test. So like I said, we do this in chapter 4. We do it again in chapter 6. And we do it on the final exam. U substitution, another big topic in this class. Okay, let's look at this last problem. The last problem is x to the 4th. And so students go, oh, I don't know how to do x to the 4th. Well, look for a GCF. There isn't one. But because there's a 2 in the front, we can still use AC method. So we're looking for factors of 6, reading backwards, that add to 7. So that would be 6 and 1, add to 7. So remember, we're going to take this out and replace it with those, all positive signs, so we don't have to worry about our signs, all plus. But this is the only difference between this and the AC that you've done earlier. We always have to replace it with that variable. So it's going to be plus 6x squared plus 1x squared. And that's what a lot of students do wrong on the test, is they do AC and then they just write x there. Well, you have to use the variable that's there, because when you add these, you have to get that. And 6x plus 1x is not 7x squared. So it has to be 6x squared plus 1x squared, and then our plus 3. So then we can jump into grouping. So what is common? We have a 2, and taking our smallest exponent would be x squared. And then when we divide by 2x squared, divide by 2x squared, we get 1x squared plus 3, because x squared divided by x squared cancels. Bring down this sign. Nothing common here but 1. So divide by 1, and we get x squared plus 3. And then we get happy because these match. So our answer is x squared plus 3 and 2x squared plus 1.